So we had an opportunity to join the Peace Region Living Labs as well as the BC Living Labs. And the Peace Region is a unique climatic zone. It's there's so many uniqueness to the Peace Region that we thought it was best to align with the Peace Region Living Labs. But it's the regionally relevant information to producers. We have short season, we can have snow any month of the year, and so there's a lot of different management strategies that have to be focused in grain farming. So I really felt that the Living Labs part of it really aligned well with that living component, because agriculture is always changing, and in grain farms you never know what you're going to get from year to year, and so that adaptive ability of research I think is so important, because you can do a lot in a sterilized, controlled lab, but when you get out on a field, things can change from day to day. Grain producers first came as the grain producers in 1986, and our membership was probably about 600 to 800, and then it got as high as 1,500 producers at the peak. And our membership is through levy collections, so that would be how many farms paid levy. Now we're down to 300, so I think that speaks to how farms have changed. I know, like, my family farm was 1,000 acres and now it's 4,000 acres, and I think that's not unique to how the sector is going.
My name is Hannah Wellms. My husband Les and we farm in Rose Prairie. It's a 3,000 acre grain farm. We farm wheat, barley, canola. We're also doing other interesting things on our farm with alfalfa and cover crops. As well as we have a sunflower field and a pumpkin patch that we open to the community. So it's kind of been an adventure in that.
Our family farm started here in the 60s. My parents moved up from the Fraser Valley in the mid-60s, and I was born and raised here in Rose Prairie, and so I'm second generation. I remember the same property growing up, doing tillage or doing seeding on these same fields, and I hope to pass it on to the next generation, to build the soil, build our topsoil to better the next generation.
Well, we signed on with the Living Labs because we are doing research and have been doing research on just Les and I on our property, on our land, trying to figure out soils, trying to figure out the water infiltration and just the different weather things that are happening, and we're trying to be able to manage it and be sustainable.
As a farmer, we do see the need to improve our practices or improve our soils.
We took 600 acres and did a cover crop across it, 4 different varieties. 600 acres is a big amount of land to do a research project on, but the BC grain producers have been moving from small scale to large scale so that we can actually see what is happening just based off of reality.
So we're doing a full season cover crop. We're taking the crop out of production for 1 year. And our goal is with cover crops, is to add them to a grain farming scenario. The idea is the radishes will break up compaction and the clovers will add nitrogen, or at least feed what's there. And so it is still very much in the experimental phases. We need to do some more sampling and more benchmark modeling to see the benefits and quantify the benefits of these practices.
I grew up in the region. My parents were farming in the Presbyterian area, so I was born and raised on a farm. Began renting land when I was 21 years old, so I've been into farming for myself for many years. We are currently farming about 4,000 acres of cereals, and we run 480 cows that we're calving. So we're a mixed farming operation. We're doing a soil tillage test, trying to determine whether we have more carbon sequestration with an annual plowing or to go with minimum till, along with finding out whether the carbon is something that is sequestered better in one form or another. We're also looking at in which one the yields will be higher or not.
Summit Acre Farms Living Lab project is focusing on a first year of a cover crop trial underseeded to red clover. The project as a whole, we're comparing to our quarter section exactly next to this problem quarter section. So we really hope to learn or be able to analyze and see what the difference is between one of our top producing fields and its soil structure, soil biology, and a field that doesn't perform so well. So ideally we'll hopefully come away with some kind of protocol that we can apply to future problems and or fields, and this remediation really project will have an outcome that we can kind of blueprint and apply again and again. I think on-farm research is the most important for my business, because it actually will prove if something's working or not. And a lot of situations where we've done our own on-farm trials, side-by-side trials even, things have surprised us. And then surefire products or practices that we thought were working, were not working, were not providing any benefits.
I think it's very important in regards to the living labs, the economics of the trials that we are doing here. And so what we have within this is we get a cost benefit analysis. Is one way better than another? If there is a benefit to the environment, but it's unaffordable, then there has to be some sort of mitigation or compensation if this is a route that industry and government wants to go.
I think the success for the Living Labs would look at is that government, scientists, other farmers in other areas look to the Living Labs project and say, oh my gosh, they're doing such great work and the farms are doing so many good things for the environment, and they're doing it really, really financially stable. I think it's success. That's what success would look for me, is if we were that shining star, that beacon, be like, oh, this is what good management strategies look like. I think would be a success.
Our good practices need to be promoted and showcased, and I hope that the Living Labs project can show all the things that we are doing for agriculture and for the land and improving the soils.
Lots of the successes are hard to quantify, but will have long-lasting impacts as with the collaboration and the knowledge sharing and the outreach and building people's networks in the research community as well in the agricultural community.
Another big part of it is whenever they've had events or they've been releasing a booklet that surrounding farmers that may not have been a part of trials or even really had much to do with the grain producers really received that information well. And it's because it's on neighboring farmers' property or land, or it's their neighbor's project. So it seemed like it really struck a chord with farmers around the region, that they were happy to see other guys trying different things and new things, and then also seeing the results of it and being able to take that away for their own farm.
The learning opportunities and knowledge sharing between the different associations and the collaboration, I think I don't even know how you put a quantifiable number on that, but the benefit to producers long term, I think, is huge. As farms get smaller, memberships get smaller, and I think we got to share resources as much as possible. And I love that there's been so much collaboration.
I think if we can relay that farmers, not only in our region, across Western Canada, have a deep care for their farms, first of all, and the land and their soil, and to understand that we're already trying to do what's best for our farm and for our fields and for our crops. Hopefully the Living Lab can show a bit of the passion that farmers have for what they're doing. It's not I can't say it's a regular career path in regards to the level of passion that most farmers have for what they're doing.
100 years ago, everybody had a connection to agriculture. Everybody had some farm connection, whereas now we're getting maybe 2 or 3 generations removed. And so a lot of people don't have that boots on the ground knowledge of how challenging agriculture is, or just even basic knowledge of where their food comes from. So we have to do a better job in agriculture of making people relate to us, and they may think they understand, but there's a lot of things that they don't understand about food production. But there is also we don't do a real great job in agriculture sometimes of tooting our own horn and saying all the great things that we do in agriculture. We do a lot of really great things. We need to do a better job of communicating all the good things that we are doing to the general public, and I think the general public really wants to get those messages. So we just got to make sure that we are telling our story, and we're telling our story to as many people as possible.